How you doing today, Si?
I'm doing great, sir. How are you doing?
Very well. Thank you for calling.
Thank you for accepting my request and accepting to talk with me.
No problem. I enjoy it.
So, I thought to introduce you to my audience.
Okay. My name is Jeffrey Yorio. I currently live in the United States. I'm in the suburbs of the city of Rochester, New York, which is the southern border on shores of Lake Ontario, one of the Great Lakes.
Wow. So, what do you do?
Right now, for my regular job, supervisor at a factory. Uh, I do write in my free time. Family, kids keep me all busy.
So, you are a supervisor in a company and you are managing your family and you are writing.
Yes,
So, what you wrote? Have you published any books?
I've got one book out. It's called Sundowners: Vampires Are Only Human. That came out in October of last year, and then recently an anthology came out, a crime and passion anthology. There's myself and 12 other authors. We each put about a 3,000 word story in. Um, there were conditions about what the story had to have in it, and that just came out last Friday. And they're both available. My book and that one are available on Amazon.
So, what is the response that you are getting?
Um, I've sold maybe between ebook and paperback of my book, 25 or 30 copies. My very first book out, I never expected as a first time author to have a tremendous response. Those that have read it have told me they liked it, and that's flattering. I enjoy hearing that. But I didn't get into it to make money. I mean, if I do, that's fantastic. It's great. But I got into it to write. Maybe 9 years or so ago, 8. My wife had told me, she goes, listen, she goes, you read a lot of that stuff. Why don't you write a book? So I started working on that. I've had a couple of short stories published online as well. But yeah, so that's where it all started from.
When you started it?
I started writing, I'm going to say about 8, 9 years ago. I'm 61 now.
Wow.
So yeah, so there's no age time as I discovered about writing. As long as you have a desire to improve and learn, as with anything in life.
So, when you started writing this book that you have published recently?
Mm-hmm. Yes, I started writing that. I'm going to say about 5 years ago. Um, I was on a writer's site called Legend Fire, and they have a little chat and online chat that you can do with the members of the group. And one of the questions that came up was, how did the myth of vampires start? And so I said, well, back in the day when science wasn't what it is now, maybe a disease called rabies might have been taken to cause vampirism. Um, People who have rabies have similar traits to what's associated to vampires.
Okay.
Um, and so that may have been back then where it came from. And that also led me to write my book, because it says now, okay, science back then wasn't good, so they may think rabies, but now science is much better. So if vampires did exist, how could they have done it and still survived without being discovered
Okay.
to the modern to the modern world? And so I worked on that. Um, and I had to kind of recreate for my book what a vampire really was. Um, and all cultures, I discovered in my research, have some sort of creature in their mythology, which is one that needs blood to survive. The details change, but all cultures seem to have one. And so I said, okay, why do all these different cultures have it? And so that's where I went in. And my dad, who was living at the time, he's a retired doctor. I asked him, certain things about it, and I did research online. And so I came up with what my vampires were. as far as for my book.
So you express to impress, or you express because you want to express?
I expressed it just to do it, to make myself happy, and hopefully people read it, they enjoy it and like it and go, hey, that's a neat idea. That was my reason for actually writing the book. I thought it was several friends, when I told them about it. There was one, he's more of a horror writer, and he says, Jeff, you got to write the book based on just the notes I had sent him. He says it's a unique take on vampires. It's not your traditional. They're awake at night and they go around killing things, and it's not a blood fest as such. So I changed what a vampire was from what we all take for the assumption of what a vampire is. My vampires walk around during the day. They have no problems with that. They're stronger. They live longer. But they're not, someone goes, a stake through the heart. Well, that'll kill my vampires, but you put a stake through any living creature's heart, it's going to kill them.
Okay.
So it's not your traditional vampire, but it's not a story about them per se. It's about their history. It's about one of the main characters, Agate. She's an older vampire. She's over 400 years old, and she's starting to get a little senile. And so the book is about Zephyrin, her grandson, trying to find her in an effort to protect the vampire's secret. He has to kill his grandmother so that no one finds out, because when they go feral, when they revert, they don't care. And hey, there's lots of cameras around anywhere you walk and go. So she could do something that could expose the vampire's secret. And so his job as a vampire hunter is to take care of them so that they don't put them out of their misery, make their death as painless, and protect the vampire's secret. There's another sect of vampires that want to capture these vampires and experiment on them. And so there's your conflict within the book.
So when you got this thought to write about this story, so why you took a fictional one? Why not the real one?
I wanted mine to be different. Everyone wants theirs. If you read the Twilight series, those vampires are different from a traditional vampire. Because I thought that I'm a new writer, I'm a new author. If mine's just like everybody else's, why would they want to read mine? So I have to make mine different. I have to make mine consistent. I have to make my characters such that when you read the book, you can identify with the characters that are in the book and root for them or not root for them, but you still identify with them. And so that was my reasoning for making them different. And in making them different, I had to create a whole history for them to explain everything. So that was why. It was just to be different.
So what is the different thing that people who reads your book can observe? They already have vampire stories. What they find new thing in yours?
Well, they'll find out in mine that my vampires can go to the beach on a summer day. They just need a good SPF sunscreen lotion.
Okay.
Science has helped my vampires because they can now they found ways using science to get around having to drink blood the old-fashioned way as such. And that's been good. I also was talking with my father and a couple other people. The human mouth is not meant to tear meat. It's meant to make it smaller when you chew it, but it's not meant to tear it off like you would expect from a lion or a hyena or something like that. The mouth is built differently. So I looked at it from the fact that a vampire's fangs aren't hollow straws for them to drink the blood. They're just fangs to help them get to, open up the neck to get to the blood. So there's that. My vampires don't live forever. They will die of age, but they will live a lot longer. They're healthier, but they can still die of, multiple things. They're allergic to garlic and something called Luna caustic, which is how silver is a byproduct of how silver was made several hundred years ago. They, other than that, they're human. They think, they love, they don't love, just like non-vampires. And so that was the whole purpose of what's going on. Technology has made it easier for vampires to survive because it's easier to make blood meal coatings and mix stuff in with other stuff to get that aspect of what they need, but they still need regular food. They just, they're just tied to a difference. My vampires are a mutation of being anemic. And so there's where my creation. My vampires have nothing to do with the ceremony to the devil or being evil. Are some vampires bad? Oh yeah. But are some vampires good? Yeah, some vampires are good too.
So, as a person who did masters in tech subject, it sounds really new for me. You are connecting the technology with vampires, and you're showing your imagination. This is completely new. It sounds really new. It's a new thought.
Well, thank you. That was the thing. I wanted the book, my vampires, to be different and new, but I wanted the story to be about not so much about them, because that they're a given. I wanted the story to be about what's going on in their lives. Of my four main characters, one is not a vampire. The other three are. You have Agate, her grandson Zephyrin. There's another vampire called Laurent, and then there's what many would call the love interest for Zephyrin, and her name is Brielle. And how they all interact, and secrets get discovered that no one may have expected, and it all goes with that. People do die in the book. Some of them rather gruesomely, but it's for adults. It's not a kid's book in any way, shape, or form. But it's different. I wanted the story not so much to be about the vampires, but the vampires as part of the story. And so it's different. It's different in that regard. Yes, sir.
So you observed the present technology and the present beings, what is the society now, and you observed it and you tried to put in your book by connecting with the vampires.
It's how vampires would connect with the technology. I took it from that way. Say, okay, if I'm a vampire and I need this, how can we avoid the technology and still use the technology? Back in the 1400s, everyone knows I've been around 60 years, but I don't really age. So I got to move 100 miles and set myself up as the son of, as my son. I'm Sebastian Cole II, not Sebastian Cole. He was my father, even though that's a lie. Back in the 1300s, people didn't travel much more than 10 miles away from their village where they lived. So you move 70, 80 miles away, you're a new person. You didn't have social security numbers. You didn't have cameras and everything else. So that was easier. Now, as technology is increasing, they have to find a way to still hide so that they're not discovered as easily. But technology is, especially the science aspect, has helped them with their, mutation, with what makes them vampires. That's all. And so that was how I did it.
So you said it is connected with technology. Can I say that the people who are not aware of technology can connect with this book?
Yeah, the technology really isn't important, but it's there. When you talk about things, and the police who come in because of the murders, they're doing so. The technology is there, but you don't need to really know. I don't go into that much detail, except near the end when Zephyrin explains to Brielle about vampires, because she discovered it. And even he doesn't go in depth, so you don't really need to know technology to get to understand what's going on. And I wanted to keep that part to a minimum. knew at some point it would come in, but I just wanted to keep that to a minimum.
So, what is the effect that you are going to create through your words by explaining this story, this technology, and connecting with the vampire? And what is the effect that they are going to get by reading this book?
That one, hey, maybe he's got a point. Maybe that could be the case. Is the first one. There's the, is this plausible? Could this be? And two, that they enjoy the story. That I've created characters and I've done enough changes with the world that we have now, that everything fits in and they enjoy the story. That's the reason for it. Will they enjoy it? Will they identify with what's going on in the book? I am working on a sequel for it. I got about 3,000-4,000 words of a rough outline set up for it right now. So yeah, it's just that I want them to enjoy it. If someone buys my book and they leave a review, hey Jeff, this was a great book, thank you, I'm happy. It's to know that my words made someone happy or that they enjoyed it. That's flattering, and that's my hope.
So you are 60, and which age group will be connecting with this story?
I think any age group could, but because of what's in the book, I'd have to say 18 or older. There's 2 sex scenes, and you got there's 5 or 6 murders in there, and they're not, nice murders as such. So there's that aspect. So with a 13 or 14-year-old might be able to read it, but I would not want them to read it unless their parents say, okay, go ahead. But how do you stop them with modern technology? But yeah, it was definitely written for an adult. I'd say a mature person, 17, 18 or older, as far as that goes. Not that I think the reading's any harder, but it's the subject matter, what's in there. It's more adult oriented in that regard. Yes.
And which country human beings will connect?
Anyone. The book is set in the state of Ohio. I start in the city of Ashland, which happens to be where I went to college, Ashland, Ohio. So it starts there, and it pretty much happens in the state of Ohio. There's a couple scenes when Zephyr's brought in. He's still in Venice, Italy. But yeah, and then some others come in from other parts, but that's where it happens in it. So there's no one group I think that would or wouldn't. If you like vampire stories, I think you'd like something like a mystery, because that's the big thing. What's going, as they say, secrets get kind of revealed and stuff in here. So what's going on? Who's this? And all. So yeah, there's mystery. There's whodunit. It's vampire. So yeah, I think there's several groups that could or that should probably enjoy the book.
So are you satisfied with the response that you're getting?
For the response that I've had back, yes, I'm satisfied. I've had some comments about things I probably should have done a little differently. And I take that to heart, because here's a reader saying, geez, I got a problem with this, and this. Okay, thank you very much. I'll work on that. Appreciate that. Let's say, geez, it's a great book. Are you working on the second part? Yes, I am. So I don't, any feedback that comes back to me is important, because if a person is going to take the time to read my book and then take the time to let me know what they thought about it, that's important to them. And I'm going to listen to that.
The achievement of yours is that you are drawing their attention.
Yes. That I draw their attention. If there was something about the book that they identified with, that they wanted to leave a comment or let me know, that's great.
Fantastic. And when the second day is going to be out?
That book's that book's already out. You mean the sequel? The next one?
Yeah.
If I'm lucky, the end of this year.
What do you feel about it?
Because it could be. I'm finding out right now, writing the sequel is a little bit more difficult than writing the first one, because I have to make sure I don't make a mistake and put something in the sequel that I changed from the first book. I have to make sure that I know the first book pretty well, and I keep a copy ready to check it out, so that when I'm giving a name or I'm explaining something, I don't go, but wait a minute. The reader goes, in the first book you had this. So there is that aspect of writing the sequel that is harder than writing the first one. So with the first one, I have no history to worry about. In the second one, well, I got the first book to worry about. I can't change someone's name, or I can't have a brother all of a sudden disappear that wasn't mentioned without reason. So there are things I have to be careful of, and I got to plot it. The next book takes place. Parts of it are definitely going to take place in Scotland, and there's another place I'm not sure of that may develop based on how my outlinings go right now.
So tell me about your full-time job. You are a supervisor in a company. How is that, and when you started it?
I've been a supervisor at different companies for over 20 years. But this is a plastics molding company. They make those plastic containers that you may find donuts or salads and stuff in. That's what they make. And I worked at that's a 12-hour shift. That's a 12-hour shift. And I do a 2-2-3 rotation. I work 2, have 2 off, work 3. So I use my free time, my days off and scheduled days off in between to, stuff around the house, get some writing done in and stuff like that.
So how you're managing all these 3 jobs as a family manager and supervisor, and now you became an author of a book and you are ready to release another one?
Well, right, it's not too bad. My wife keeps me informed when I need to get stuff done. Obviously, at this point, the book writing takes second place to taking care of the house and the family. And I just, and when there's free time, I work on it.
Awesome. So what is working for you to be successful?
If as far as in writing, if I get if I get any feedback on the book, that's success, because that means people have read it and taken the time to comment, good or bad. That's good. I keep the family happy, and we pay our bills and everything else. That's their success. My kids are better than I am. That's important. I got 3.
So how would you rate yourself? Because you are communicating since last 60 years, right? So you used your communication skills as a supervisor for the management in a company. Yeah. Now you are communicating through your words with the readers.
Yeah, communication. That's probably one of the most important things we do as people, with your friends, with your family. The people you work with, the people you interact with on the business. Think of the people you communicate with. You and me here. You may communicate with the places that host your website when issues come up, and you want to do it. So that ability is something that most people probably learn by doing. Some go to college and get trained in it, but most people just learn by doing it. And yes, communication is very important. You want to make sure you're understood properly. And you convey it. Just like when I write, I want to convey a certain thing in a certain, image in one scene. I have to create, I want to make sure I create the point when I'm talking with someone that they understand and, hopefully gain from the interaction. But, if I'm training someone at work, a new worker comes in, I want to make sure that they understand the safety policy. They understand how to use a sharp knife properly. I want to make sure that they know when on their training book when to sign off on something. I want them to be comfortable doing the process as much as their trainer to be doing it, and then watch them do it, so that I can now say, yeah, the person's been trained. But it's just making sure that they understand and give them the opportunity to ask questions. I may think I explained something properly to them, but maybe I didn't. And I have to let them know there's nothing wrong with asking a question. when you're in a group. If you have a question, I can guarantee you there's probably 2 or 3 others that have a very similar question about whatever topic you're listening to. So there's never anything wrong with asking someone a question. You just say, hey, Jeff, I have a question about this. Ask me. If I don't know the answer, now I'm going to go get you the answer so I can get back to you, because if the question is important to you, the answer is important to you as well.
So, what is the best compliment that you got for the book that you released, and what are the achievements that in your life that you cannot forget, and you can whenever you remind it, you rewind it, you feel very high and you feel very happy that you are on this planet?
The best compliment so far I've had about the book is, am I working on part 2? That's so far the best compliment I've had about it. As far as in life goes, knowing that my family's doing well, that it's seeing their smiles, hearing them, is there's my feedback about how I am as a husband and a father, and to the extent that a father can be a friend. But yes, that it's seeing that aspect on them. We take a lot for granted within our family about how things are, but there's the feedback about that from family.
So your future plans?
Is to keep doing. I hope to retire, in about 5 years, but keep on writing as far as that goes. So those are my plans. Nice and simple at my age right now.
So there will be a lot of people who will be watching this video from anywhere on this planet. Do you have anything to say about your books, about your work, and about anything that you wanted? Any good message or anything?
In a way, when my wife had first mentioned to me, well, you read a lot of that stuff, why don't you write a story? I'm like, wow, that's got to be hard. It's going to be difficult. I'm going to say, don't let your fear burn bridges in front of you. As with anything, try it and start small. You'll never be perfect. You'll never be great when you first start doing something, but you'll get better. You'll improve and keep moving forward. Excelsior, ever upward. That's the importance in life. Am I a great writer? No. When I started, yes. And so that's with anyone. If there's something you want to do, just like when you were somewhere, you got the idea to do a podcast and to do your YouTube channel. Okay. You're probably much better at doing it now than you were when you started, but you didn't let the fear of all that stop you. And that's how it works with anything. Don't let that fear stop you. Go for it. Research, look for help, ask people who know about it. But yes, that's the life lesson. Don't let that fear slow you or impede you.
About your books?
As I say, I've got some science fiction I'm working on right now. My thinking there is I'm going to release them just as short ebooks, not as paperbacks. And they'd be on Amazon. I'm going to try something a little different with that way. It's always been my favorite genre to read is science fiction and fantasy. So that's it. And then recently the anthology came out, the crime romance anthology, Room with a Heart. And so that was nice to be invited to participate in that. And it was different, writing history with a little bit of romance in it. So that was the condition. We were given a picture of a very Victorian room, pink, red, well decorated chairs, nice paintings on the wall, very richy. And we had to have a crime happen in the room. Okay. And there had to be a romance involved, but there had to be a crime in the room. And that the crime had to be solved as such. There. And so in 3,000 words, that's kind of hard, but there's, myself and 12 others. So we got 13 pretty good stories in that. And I know that's on Amazon as well. So I'm happy about that, and it'll be interesting when feedback starts coming back in about to the editor who put it up, Renee, to see what if anyone says anything about my story versus the others. But you got some real good stories in that book about within the parameters that we had. So there's all similar vein going through all the stories.
Do you have a copy of your book to show to my audience?
Yes, I do. Hang on.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't think about having it ready. But yeah, this is the book.
Sundowners.
Vampires are only human. Yes.
Fantastic. The cover picture is great. It's intimidating.
Thank you. Yeah. So yeah.
So I'll put the links of your books in the description of this video. People who finds our video anywhere on the internet or anywhere on YouTube or on podcast anywhere, they'll find the links and they will buy it.
Okay. Thank you very much, sir. Appreciate that.
Thank you very much, sir, for giving me your valuable time and telling me about your job and about the beautiful words that you said, which came from your experience. That will be that will be useful for a lot of young people, and not only young, all the people, young adults, everybody. So thanks for giving me, showing your observation and showing your imagination and showing your book and telling them about your valuable content.
Okay. No, you're welcome. I appreciate it. I'm glad. I enjoyed our time together. You're doing a good job. As I say, I watched several of your previous, YouTube videos. All very well done. So thank you.
So, what you felt after seeing my videos on YouTube?
I hope I get some nice reviews. I hope you get some good reviews about it. That's for sure.
So, at last, can I put this video on my YouTube channel? This video and audio clip on my YouTube channel, on internet, on social media, on my podcast, with your permission?
Oh yeah, absolutely. No.
I didn't hear you. The video is.
Okay. Yeah. Go ahead. Yeah, you can put it up. That's not an issue. Go ahead.
Yeah. Thank you very much, sir. Yeah.
Go on. Was there something else? Was there something else you were looking for from me? As far as I know, I sent you the links for the book. Was there something else you were looking for me to send you?
Send me the book links of yours, the Amazon links, and where they can buy. I will put in the description, so they can directly click on it and they can add to their cart and they can buy it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Will do, sir. Again,
thank you very.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you. You've been a great host. And thank you for your time too. I appreciate the opportunity.
So thank you very much, sir, for giving me opportunity to talk with you.
Okay. You're welcome. I hope you have a great rest of your day.
Thank you, sir. You too. Keep going, keep doing what you love, and keep inspiring people, and keep expressing your thoughts and feelings.
I will, sir. Thank you.